Hello again. This is part three of this module 14. I believe I was cut off after talking about not signing the expulsion papers. Again, uh, that was one of the options I was looking at, not signing the expulsion papers at all. Just taking the bad letter, and I will kind of talk about the options there. And then another option I was thinking about was holding off on signing the papers and getting the superintendent and school board involved. Um, Another option was to sign the papers and then leak the story to the newspapers. And then my last one, and the one that I would ultimately go with, I'd get an extension for having to complete the paperwork until a meeting could be completed with the district team. And then I would team up with the mother of David and go to the superintendent and school board and present the case of why Dave should not be suspended and the consequences to the suspension of Dave for the school. So I think that's my best option, but I'll kind of let you in on my thought process here as we go into section 7. So section 7, evaluating my options. The first one, sign the papers and be complicit in creating injustice for Dave. What are the consequences there? So Dave's suspended. His future is going to have ramifications for this. It's going to be a very traumatic event in Dave's life that I'm going to contribute to, and possibly there could be bad press for the school. And depending on the laws of the state, there's a possible lawsuit that could go against the school as well. So a lot of bad. Also not listed on here, but obviously as the principal, I would feel not great about myself for helping continue to serve injustice to David. The second option, the most extreme option, quit and begin a nonprofit organization focused on preventing this type of injustice. So I would have to start an entirely new career, which for some may be a positive, for me be a negative. I've worked hard to get to that point. I wouldn't want to just drop everything and start it. Still doesn't help Dave at the time. Dave, there's someone that's going to have to sign the papers, so David's still going to be suspended. I'm guessing that this is Richard's dream job. He's in his hometown school. It said he was from the South Side. Normally, when people get those types of jobs from where they were from, that's the job that they wanted. So I'm assuming that that's his dream job, and so he'd lose that. Startups always cost money, so I'm sure he's making decent money as an administrator, and so he's going to lose that money. And then positive was he wouldn't have to work in the imperfect system anymore. He'd work against it, and then affecting change in a larger area if this organization was created, so that it would be affecting change not just within the school but in several schools. Moving on to my next option, not signing the expulsion papers. I would receive a disciplinary note in my file, possibly getting fired for this. One positive would be that David is possibly spared the expulsion. I would probably get a reputation for not being a team player, not going along with district policy. I would feel good that David still has a chance at his future, and I did the right thing. But it could be all for nothing if someone else signs David's referral. Like it may not just. I may not be the only signature there may be another signature that could get David suspended. So knowing that would be important too, and it could be a big problem. Also, for me, getting another job would be difficult by getting fired. My next option, holding off on signing the papers and getting the superintendent and school board involved. There'd still be a chance of still having a letter in my file from holding off on signing the papers. I still would have, I think there's a better chance of helping David and any other future students that get caught up in the same situation by getting the superintendent and the school board involved, because they're the ones who create the change that goes into those policy books. I really probably would have some backlash from my supervisors for going over their head. That's going to be something that may be unpleasant to work with those people, continually work with those people. They may be very upset with me. Positive is I could possibly help the school's reputation by saying, look, this is our school is progressive and we meet the needs of our kids where they're at. I also could irritate the school board and superintendent with this. So I would be irritating well-connected people and making it hard for me to get a job in the area or continue to have my job. And again, even with the school board and superintendent involved, it may not be enough to keep David from being expelled. So I do all this work, I risk all this backlash on myself, and the situation still is the same as it would have been if I just signed the papers, with the exception of everyone's mad at me now. Another option I thought about is kind of a sneaky option: sign the papers and then leak the story to the newspaper. So a negative is I'm still helping create the injustice for David, like I'm signing his papers. And if I'm caught, a good chance of losing my job, and also alienating the people I work with, kind of being looked at as untrustworthy. Positive is it could pressure the school to do the right thing and reverse their decision. If I don't get caught, I don't have a letter in my file, and I did something for the situation for David. However, being that sneaky is possibly not an ethical approach to the situation, and kind of goes against my moral compass, and which we talked about earlier in the class. So probably wouldn't do this one, especially as a leaker. My last one, which is the one I end up going with, would be getting an extension for having to complete the paperwork until a meeting can be completed with the district, and then team up with the mother of David and go to the superintendent school board and present the case for why David should not be suspended. So a couple of consequences to this, or good and bads. The good here is that we're having a meeting on this, so that the future problems can be solved on that meeting, and we're getting a lot of people together that can affect this change. Another positive would be that David and his mother see that I'm on their side, and that I did everything that I could to help the situation within these lanes. These are more of official channels to go through, and it would hopefully prevent me from getting a letter in my file. And a consequence, though, or a bad, would be I could possibly still alienate the people who supervise me, because I'm going to the school board and to the superintendent. That still may create some bitter feelings of some people in the district office. And then also I would feel good about myself for at least feeling like I had tried every avenue in this situation to help David out. And then also, I think the school would be able to hear kind of the other side to this whole story. Section 8, final